Gambia battles third wave of COVID-19 with vaccine campaigns. United States Deputy Secretary of State arrives in China. The Center for China and Globalization says finding origin of COVID-19 will take years. This and more coming on this week newscast. Hello, good evening. You're watching this week newscast with me, Mariama Chan. Thanks for joining us, and now the news in detail. The coronavirus positive cases continue to surge in the Gambia regardless of measures put in place, including the mandatory wearing of face masks. The latest situational report from the Ministry of Health shows the confirmation of 172 new cases and 11 deaths related to the coronavirus. As of this week, 920 cases are under treatment, out of which 33 are under oxygen therapy. Nezise Fall sent this report.
The third wave of the coronavirus pandemic is surging despite the launch of a vaccination campaign, with cases taking an upward slope in the Gambia in recent weeks. With 172 new cases as of this week, brought the total number of confirmed cases in the Gambia to 7,333 since the confirmation of the first case in March 2020. The number of fatalities stand at 208, after 11 new deaths according to the national update on the 24th of July 2021. In order to avert a worse scenario from COVID-19 pandemic, the Gambia government reinstated the compulsory wearing of face masks, social distancing with emphasis on the need to keep personal hygiene. The Director of Health Promotion and Education, Mohammed Njai, emphasized the need for the public to respect the wearing of face masks to avoid getting into a complete lockdown.
In our country, you are also recording cases, and there is a surge. There is a need to come up with regulations, and there is a need to come up with restrictions. And we don't want to go into a restriction whereby people's movement will be restricted, and we also don't want to go into complete lockdown. But as we are going, what we can do as a country is to remind people.
Public places are no longer bound for people without respect for the emergency regulations, which were first initiated in March 2021. Meanwhile, the Ministry of Health and partners have announced the launch of COVID-19 vaccination in all health regions across the country. The target population for the vaccine includes those above the ages of 18. According to the Africa CDC, Gambia has joined the list of 6 countries in which the third wave of the coronavirus is reported in the continent. About 6.3 million cases of COVID-19 have been reported across 55 countries in Africa, accounting for 3% of the total cases reported globally. Reporting for iAfrica News, I am Desise.
Now, the United States Deputy Secretary of State Wendy Sherman is in North China's Tianjin municipality for a 2-day visit. Xi Feng, China's Vice Foreign Minister who takes charge of China-U.S. relations, will hold talks with the visiting U.S. diplomat, and later on, Chinese State Council and Foreign Minister Wang Yi will meet with Sherman. Sherman's talks follow several combative months since the country's first senior diplomatic meeting under President Joe Biden administrations in March. In recent years, the relation between the two world powers has faced major setbacks. Now, still with the news, the leader of the Gambia Moral Congress placed iAfrica TV's microphone down and walked out of the Ifam Bundi's exclusive interview, alleging contempt from the anchor. Mai Ahmad Fatih had been submissive to the interview contract until Mamadou Lamine Jammeh began to ask him how he became the first minister to be fired from the Barrow-led coalition government. The Semlek saga appeared to irritate the nerves in the GMC leader, leading to his marching out of the interview. Omar Ahmed Toure files more in this report.
Mai Ahmed Fatih responses that his sacking from the cabinet was in connection to the Kanilai incident and not because of his alleged bid rigging meant to award Semlex the contract to print the Gambia National Identity Card. Before the broadcast of the Ifambondi edition, Mr. Fatih went on his Facebook page alleging contempt against him. He emphasizes that his name had been cleared from the Semlex saga through an independent investigation by the National Assembly. When the Ifambodi host hints that the interview was going to delve into the Semlex issue a bit later, the former Minister of Interior decides to clear his image immediately instead.
But we will not treat that here. We think it's
No, if you start talking about it, we will have to treat it. You can't pass by it. I am going to respond now. No, I will respond now, Mr. Jame. I am the one answering. Mr. Jame, no, wait. I will answer you now. You have to allow me to respond. Then you shouldn't ask me the question in the first place if you know you were going to ask me about it later. If you bring up the topic, then I have to give my response.
As Ifambodi tries to go according to his interview plan, my party wouldn't take any question before exhausting the controversial issue at hand. This time, the Ifambodi program decides to explore the Kanilai incident as a reason for dismissal, but Mr. Fati has at this time decides to leave the doubt hanging in the same way it was communicated by the presidency.
This is my question.
Saying, foforiate, mbotula gambe dumibuli yo jabi, ndeto jabila. Ite kuma fola ya membula lo jabila.
Now, whether that was wrong or right, it's there for Gambians to judge. I won't talk about that. You won't say anything here. That would make me answer that question. Whether right or wrong, Gambians are listening and they will draw conclusions. They are wiser than I am. He said he removed me because of national interest, so whether that was right or not, let Gambians talk about that.
Henceforth, the interview on the Ifambodi program could no longer regain the balance. In fact, the GMC leader once again needs to satisfy his urges on the Semlex saga, but the Ifambodi host needs to regulate the discourse. Eventually, things were no longer bearable on what appears as a hot seat for my party, so he makes the unusual but final decision.
Honorable
Mr. Jame, ni left interview tanya to. Kakarim kuntu.
No madre kuntu kan.
You know, Mr. Jame, if you want this interview to progress, do not intercept me, because if you intercept me, we won't progress. You can insist just as I do, but do not cut me short. Listen, if you cut me short, I will take it as a disrespect. Listen, Mr. Jame, and allow me to talk. No, I am talking and I am not done yet, so allow me to talk. Mr. Jame, if you want to answer the question yourself, then do it, or allow me to respond. This is not an argument between you and I. If you want us to continue, you have to listen to me. I don't think this interview will continue because I found that you are not respecting me.
The 7th edition of the Ifambodi program on iAfrica TV has since Friday sparked public discourse, particularly on social media platforms. Some of the key highlights regard to whether it was right or wrong for the former Minister of Interior to walk out of interview contract, or whether the program anchor had compromised any journalistic principle. Among the commentators was former Information Minister Demba Ali Jawo. He wrote, "This is the worst interview I have seen. The journalist had not treated Mai with fairness. His trend of questioning is very bad and confrontational." The Director of Media Academy for Journalism and Communication, Sam Mendy, commented, "They can point fingers at people, castigate, accuse, or call them corrupt, but frown on similar things when put on the spotlight. I beg all political leaders to endeavor to appear on the Ifambodi show. They just need to make sure that they are fully loaded to avoid walking away." For Paul A. Korea, it is a sensitive and real issue. That is why he dropped the mic, a defensive action. Fatu Jambe, "Mr. Journalist, if you continue like this, don't be surprised that nobody will want to be interviewed by you. Just give him a chance and listen." While Omar Samate commented, "A presidential aspirant running away from genuine questions? That's all I can see here. Stop disrespecting Gambian journalists for doing their job." Reporting for iAfrica TV, this is Omar Ahmadu Toure.
Now, the World Health Organization and partners have been at work to determine the origin of the COVID-19 pandemic since last year. A senior fellow at the Center for China and Globalization, Mario Cavallo, has said that finding the origin of COVID-19 virus will likely take a number of years. The next step in tracing the origin of COVID, he said, should focus on places outside, debating that Wuhan was the source of the pandemic. So here is an excerpt.
Let me be very, very clear about this. We now have the evidence very clearly that Wuhan was not the start of the pandemic. Wuhan was the place where doctors first identified the COVID-19 virus, and very quickly, I believe it was by January 12th, released the genome to the world. So that was the first city where the COVID-19 virus was identified. Now it's time to move on to far more obvious evidence in order to find the origins of COVID, which is going to take years and years anyway.
Now, a Kenyan doctor has developed a reusable face mask to help contain the rapidly spreading coronavirus pandemic in the West African country. As featured in this report, the delightful Kenyan doctor has been explaining his journey after a remarkable breakthrough. Here is more of that in this report.
Talk about an invention at the right time, at the right season. This is a nano mask that protects you from bacterial infection, viral, and of course, fungal. It's an invention that has come in handy during this tough COVID-19 time and invented by none other than Dr. Nderito, who, of course, I want him to tell us more about the inspiration of coming up with this. Doc, good to see you. How are you doing?
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yes, I'm Dr. Joseph Nderito, and I'm a human anatomist, I'm a medical doctor, and I'm a nanotechnology researcher. And I'm the one who came up with the nano mask, which is the culmination of many years of work and interest in nanotechnology. In my primary interest was the development of products to reduce the problems of antimicrobial resistance in Africa. And so when COVID-19 struck, and I knew that I had technology at the back of my mind that could help deal with the problems that we were facing. So I thought that it would be a good thing to see whether a nano mask, a mask with the capacity to kill bacteria and viruses and all that, could be a better tool to deal with the issues of the pandemic than what we had. And from a lab point of view, it was clear that this is actually working as predicted, but I needed it verified by microbiological tests, right? And so when we tested the material I submitted the material to the National Microbiology Reference Laboratory, which is like the topmost level of microbiology test you can have. A reference laboratory is the top laboratory in any system.
And then we introduce the fabric into that food, we call it culture media, and see whether the bacteria will be killed by the nanoparticles that it diffuses into the media. So basically that's what we did, and we got very, very good results. And these are fabrics that can be used in maybe hospital, a setup like the lab coats, the lab coats doctors, nurses, and lab technologists, scientists like me use. They can be used to make such coats.
So you say, what if there's a decay rate is 0.1%, 0.9%, 0.2%, and that is the reason why I have limited its wash cycle to 100 washes. So the mask would put the production cost for each mask at $5 a piece, which is from research and development, all the chemicals involved, the entire operation, that is before going to the factory, and then there is the amount that is the hours charged by the factory itself for the production process, including the stitching. So that would be about $5 a piece. So this fabric that apparently looks normal to people, it's the one that we're saying it's impregnated with the nanoparticles. The term impregnation is important here because in science that means it's not just coating, it's forcing the atoms to become permanently bonded with the chemical structure of the material.
Dr. Nderito now hopes to capitalize on the welcome move by Kenya's microbiology lab approval to come up with more inventions that will improve the quality of life.
The report with a Kenyan doctor who have developed a reusable face mask to help contain the rapidly spreading coronavirus pandemic in the East African country will take us to a quick break, and we'll be right back with the rest of the news on this week. Stay tuned.
The locations, the design, the materials used, all the way down to the latest details are few of many things that we focused on when we envisioned the airport residency. As proud innovators of community estates, the airport residency in Old Yundum, a project by Swami India International, offers unique gated community with 3- and 4-bedroom villas and duplexes. Just 5 minutes away from the Banjul International Airport. Luxury, convenience, and accessibility are some of the reasons you should consider this great housing opportunity. With a clubhouse, a playground, access roads, and parking facilities available for your dream home or a valuable investment, you will find all you need at Airport Residency here in Old Yundum.
Our sand is running out. Our smiling coast is losing its beauty. Our women are losing their gardens. And our children are losing their future. Our communities infested with mosquitoes and crocodiles attacking and killing our children. Communities are in a state of devastation in exchange for new cities, new buildings, and new roads. Sand mining is not an alternative for the Gambia. Sand dredging is the solution. SMJ is a Gambian-owned company located at Denton Bridge. At SMJ, we dredge fine sand from sea without destruction. Sand dredged from sea is the best solution to keep developing our infrastructure to last a lifetime. SMJ is for a better future. Stop by Denton Bridge. Call us today on +220 277 7753.
Welcome to Staples, the office superstore for all your office needs, office furnitures, office equipment, office kitchenwares, office stationery. Get all you need for your workplace. Office desks, chairs, workstation, conference table, computers, printers, monitors, sofas, filing cabinets, water dispensers, microwaves, ovens, air coolers, and lots more. Staples, the best superstore in the Gambia.
Welcome back, and you're still watching This Week Newscast. Now, Nigerian health professionals are becoming more disgruntled with their orientation with working conditions in the country. Nigeria is losing 4 doctors every month, while 8 in every 10 doctors contemplate leaving the country due to their poor wages, according to the country's medical association. Now, the National Assembly is currently discussing the immunization concerns of the doctors, but some health workers disapprove of the move. Details of that in this report.
Boas Mashaw is a medical doctor in Jos, North Central Nigeria, who has been practicing medicine for 11 years. He says his stay in the country is tentative because he's hoping to earn better wages and work in a more advanced environment abroad.
You go to where the pasture is greener. So as soon as I get the opportunity to, I would love to leave as well. There are others that have stayed, and they have stayed in the service of the nation for a long time, to the point that they have become professors. But even as at that, they are leaving.
The Nigerian Medical Association says at least 4 doctors leave the country every month, while 8 out of every 10 of them are contemplating leaving the country. Nigeria's health sector has a history of strike actions by health worker unions, calling for better welfare and working conditions.
There needs to be good pay for the workers, good working environment, and good working environment, and the assurance that your safety is guaranteed. The payment of the doctors and other health professionals, medical laboratory scientists, the nurses. There are many of them complaining, but as if nothing is being done about it. So what we have in most cases are promises.
Lawmakers of the National Assembly are now deliberating on a bill that limits the exodus of health workers and addresses their remuneration concerns. But some experts don't think the bill is necessary.
What about those that are in charge of our finances, those that are in charge of our policies? What bill is there to stop them from taking their children out for schooling? What bill is there to stop them from going out to seek for help? That is what we should be concerned about. If a bill to stop the health professional from going out is to be instituted or be passed, then a bill should also be passed that will stop a politician, an average politician, from going out to go and seek for health care.
The Nigerian government has repeatedly called for more patience and commitment from the doctors as the country battles the coronavirus. The government also says it is engaging unions in the health sector on how to do more in funding hospitals across the country and motivate health workers. It has made the medical residency program free for resident doctors and instituted an insurance scheme for health workers across the country. This, it hopes, to go a long way to discourage the exit of workers like Mwas Mashor from the country and ultimately boost its medical sector.
Now, waste management has become a growing problem in the Gambia as youth like Abdoulaye Kande, the manager of youth management, have taken up the initiative by connecting the dots on the path to sustainable development. According to Kande, the reason why youth are engaged in waste collection is to curb the unemployment rate in the country. STBI has the rest of that.
With an increasing rate of unemployment in the country, Gambian youths are shifting attention to an alternative means of job creation. Even those with a day job often struggle to cater for their financial needs, and those begging for the need for an extra source of income. Abdoulaye Kante is one of them. He moved from working at a bank to creating a waste management business. Mr. Kante said he ventured into this industry to recruit youths and contribute to the coping the skyrocketing unemployment rate in the country.
I have been doing this job for some Americans before, for like 5 years, after that 5 years experience. So when these Americans, they left back to America, I decided to continue on the same, on the waste management job, because I said that definitely I don't want to be sitting here and say there's no job in this country, or I want to go back way to go and look for something. So I said that maybe my belief is like, if I try it here, I can also have something, I can make it here. Yeah, that's why I venture into these waste collections.
Kante said he has also created job opportunity for more than 10 people in his line of work.
In fact, before I go into waste management, I was working with the bank, and I also work with an insurance company. But since I started doing this waste management, I decided to see, look, we can do through this waste management, I can see myself in, and I have a lot of people that I used to work with. Like, I have 10 employees right now that are working with me. You understand? So it's like creating employment for the youths and for myself also. Yeah.
He urged citizens to help in boosting his business by providing him with trucks, which will help him do the job easier and faster. Waste management includes the activities and action required to manage waste from its inception to its final disposal. This includes the collection, transport, treatment and disposal of waste, together with monitoring and regulation of the waste management process. For iAfrica News, I am ICTBI Kujabi.
Now, despite the global lockdown due to the COVID-19 pandemic, Tanzania has registered its highest coffee export in 8 years. There has been growing interest from several countries, including China, in Tanzania's coffee production, while the government is initiating measures to boost the local market. Authorities are also working traders to raise the awareness of the export procedures. Details of that in this report.
Godfrey Mzava has years of experience exporting grain. However, logistical challenges due to COVID-19 lockdowns around the world unexpectedly shifted his attention to coffee, earning him an income in difficult times.
When the COVID-19 pandemic began, we were very surprised to get orders to export coffee. We didn't do much last year given the fact that we were only starting off. We got an order from Vietnam and one from China. This year, we already have 3 orders lined up.
Tanzania has traditionally exported its coffee to Japan and Europe. Authorities are now keen on capitalizing on China's growing interest in Tanzanian produce.
Many traders, they prefer to trade in China as it's quick and also easy to trade with China compared to Europe market. So we think there was that big demand compared to our capacity of producing last year. And also we expect this year it will be the same because we receive a lot of inquiries from China market.
While exports are booming, only 5 to 7% of Tanzanian coffee is consumed locally. The government's stated goal is to boost these numbers to at least 10% by 2025. According to the Tanzania Coffee Board, coffee represents about 5% of Tanzania's total exports, earning the country an average of $100 million every year over the last 30 years. With a growing demand for the country's coffee, authorities are worried about the lack of information dampening the enthusiasm of potential exporters. They are hoping the recent launch of a trade portal will help garner more interest from traders.
Most traders, they think that it's very complicated to acquire export documents, some of them, and that's why we are basically putting effort on creating awareness on export procedures and requirement documents for export.
The government wants to exceed its current output of 70,000 tons of coffee annually. It hopes to offer farmers, traders, and thousands of their dependents in the country more income and better lives.
The report on Tanzania registering its highest coffee exports in 8 years brings us to the end of this week's newscast. I am your presenter, Mariama Cham. Thanks for watching. Do have a great night and a blessed week ahead.
South Africa Global is the first and biggest private estate developer in the Gambia and present in 7 other African countries. We take pride in leading innovation in all spheres of real estate sector in the Gambia and beyond. As such, we are launching the development of the first smart and modern office and retail towers in the Gambia called Taft Twins. The Taft Twins is located in the heart of the Kanifing institutional area and 10 minutes drive away from Banjul. Taft Twins is designed to have 5 floors of office spaces ranging from 50 square meters to over 1,000 square meters with 2 elevators, central air conditioning, 24 hours electricity and water supply, with the ground floor reserved for banking, supermarket, restaurant and coffee shop. For your bookings and reservations, please call now on 376-2333 or 776-2333. Thank you.
Banin Juber Lalu